are live for episode number 11.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. Hello, world.
We're back at it again.
Your two favorite people. We
Of
are
all
back
time.
at it again. We are having fun, and we're doing a podcast, episode number 11, on location.
We're like in the dopest restaurant
Ever.
I mean, it's pretty freaking cool.
Like, we have, what's happened is Jen Friel, who came on episode 4 or 5, who's a friend of both of ours, had a connection here at Mrs. Fish restaurant in downtown Los Angeles, and they were kind enough to let us have a space here, while the evening festivities at the restaurant are taking place. So we have our own mini studio, which we're still working with a little bit.
It's so badass, though.
It's pretty cool.
Plus, the restaurant is like all full of aquariums and all these big fish, and it's a high-end sushi place. I almost wanted to have sushi so that I could see how many I could fit in my mouth.
So, it's like a test.
I realize that that's not our topic today, but I feel like it's like the marshmallow test. Like, how many marshmallows can I fit in my face?
How many sushi? That's interesting.
How many sushi rolls can I fit in my face hole?
We're going to do that in a future episode here. So get ready for the sushi eating contest.
I'm so hungry, I'm going to eat this microphone.
This microphone.
It's going to happen. But let me drink some more, because it's a good idea.
Cheers.
So, thank you, Mrs. Fish, for having us. It's downtown LA, same building where Perch is, and owned by the same people as Perch. I've been to Perch, but I had never been downstairs in the basement here with, I shouldn't say the basement, it sounds like it's like weird, but...
In the basement, yeah. Well, I think it's a great spot, and I had not heard of it. I actually hadn't even heard of it, but they've done a really good job with it.
Oh my god, it's
Fish
beautiful.
tanks,
I can't wait to
everything.
eat my face hole full of sushi.
We're gonna do that once we go off the air. We're having a sushi fest, just going all out here. With
And then
the
we'll go
sushi.
live.
and then we'll go live. I'm actually, well, it's the last thing I say. I'm actually allergic to shellfish and lobster.
You are?
Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I'll have like a chicken fest, and
At a sushi
Kira will have a
place.
sushi at a sushi place. That's what I do. But Kira will have sushi. But anyway, we thank them for having us here.
Yeah.
We thank Jen.
Totally.
We're
Thank you, Jen.
Excited to do episode number 11. 1-1. That's right. 1-1.
So
11.
crazy.
I mean,
My brother from a different mother.
My sister from a different...
Mister. It's Mister.
Is it? Okay, there we go. Sister from a different mister, brother from a different mother. We're like my evil twin sister. That's what she is, We're since November we've been doing this, and we're going to keep it going because we're having a blast.
It's
we're having
so
a blast
fun.
with you guys, people on YouTube are loving it, getting lots of comments there.
Yeah.
So thank you, everybody. More and more to come in that regard. So today, this evening, we have a very fun topic.
Yeah, it's super interesting. It's about trying to find connectivity in the dating world in today's society. So with all the dating apps and trying to figure out, is the online persona the actual person, or if it's a type of avatar that someone takes on. And just trying to find, I get a lot of men, being a men's advocate, who are always asking me for help in trying to find connection in the digital world with other people, and dating. And it's hard because there's not this face-to-face, and it's you and an app, and trying to figure out if you match with the other person and then you meet them, you're like, they're completely different, It's a fascinating topic, and it's something I know nothing about.
Yeah.
Because I've never tried the online dating apps, and it's not that I'm against it. I just I always wanted to just meet people organically and out and about. I was never like, I need to start dating, so I'm going to be on the dating apps, And I just never
And I was always on all the dating apps.
Yeah.
So
We have like a really good
opposite
balance
of that.
Yeah.
So we're hoping to meet in the middle, talking about all of these ways in which people meet on them. And what's most interesting too, in regards to what you just said, is how you meet somebody on, oh gosh, what are they? Tinder, Bumble, Hinge. There's a million of them.
Right.
Coffee Meets Bagel. eHarmony.
Coffee Meets Bagel? Is that what it's called?
Coffee Meets Bagel.
No, I think it's Coffee and Bagels.
Coffee and Bagels?
I have no idea.
Is it Coffee Meets Bagel or Coffee? We have to start chatting with viewers sometime. let us know if it's Coffee Meets Bagel or something about coffee and a bagel.
I've never tried either. Oh, and basically refused to, old school way. I'm the same way, Jim. I feel ya.
Yeah.
Never didn't want to do the dating apps, and maybe one day,
Yeah.
Maybe Millionaire Match. SugarDaddies.com. I'll try those first.
So you get on one of these apps and you literally you see people on them and you never know if the person matches what the photos are that they're showing. Like if the person, it's going to be a match, and so you get ready for this. You end up agreeing to meet with somebody and you go to the date, and then it feels like, I don't know, half the time. I mean,
really? It's half
the time. Yeah.
I've heard all of my friends. I'm like the outlier who's never done online dating. All of my friends have given me the absolute horror stories of who they've met, and I'm sure all of you have had some fascinating stories of hey, that person looks nothing like in their photo.
Like they do in the photo.
And I think there's that part where you have the ability to create a new you online.
Yeah.
And you can take on a whole new personality. It's interesting to figure out, you can create a whole new persona. I remember when I first moved out to LA, and I felt that same way, where a lot of people that moved to LA, whoever you were in a different town,
yep,
you can change whoever you are out here. You know what I mean? I feel like it's almost in a parallel sense that you can do it online without really...
It's a little scary
knowing,
too. Yeah.
And you're basically going on a blind... I mean, you're meeting you know what I mean? You're meeting a complete random stranger. I get it. It's not... I don't mean it in an unsafe way. I don't know. The whole idea makes me extremely uncomfortable.
It's also... Yeah, and it's also a blind date in that you don't know that the photos on the other end are the person that you're actually meeting with. I mean, not only do they not look alike, sometimes it can be just like a phishing scam or you don't know who the other person is. Oh, yeah.
What do you mean?
The person on the other end could be anybody. I mean, these people hack these dating apps. It could be anybody on there.
That happens?
Yes.
Wait, so you go on a date.
It hasn't with me, but it does happen.
You go on a date and that person's not actually there to date?
That happens to people.
And then what's their point of going there?
They're just trying to work ways to get money out of people.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, fuck that noise. There's no way I'm doing dating apps.
This happens.
Fuck that.
And
sorry. I shouldn't swear so much.
And so, no, we're swear zone whenever. But it's, we have got drinks tonight, which is great. So I think that it's really interesting, how people approach that. And
when you've gone on dating apps, are you? Or do you beef up your personality to make you seem a little bit more than you actually are? I'm a great communicator. I'm a Leo. Those are things are factual, but are there points where you're actually
I'm me. The only thing that's not me is it pulls, it still pulls CAA from my Facebook. So people see CAA that I work at CAA, and so that's a pain in the ass. So I have to always tell people because they think that I'm like an agent or something. And
CAA, for those of you out there, is a creative artists agency, and it's the largest agency.
We both used to work there.
Yeah, we met there.
We met there back in the day.
That's when we found out we were brother and sister.
Brother and sister from just way back. We realized that, but that's probably the most imposter. I mean, all my photos, my front photo on Bumble is like me with my mom on a boat.
Wow, that's attractive.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
gets a lot of hits for you.
It does, but it's like people can't figure out if it's because I'm like telling a joke and my mom's like, she's
Why
like,
did you pick that picture?
because it's amazing. It's a great photo.
Well, clearly it works.
It's because everybody starts the conversation with like, who is that woman in the photo? And I tell them it's my mother.
Oh, that's brilliant. Was that done on purpose? That you were like, oh, this is a good way for people to be like, oh, who is that?
Yeah, I thought it was good for like conversation and
Sneaky.
Yeah, it's good in that way. I also on Bumble, my Bumble says it says I look like Brad Pitt in the dark, which gets a lot of conversation.
That's amazing.
Yeah, everybody asks it. It's
Well,
either
I
that.
feel like the description's got to be very catchy and like funny and witty, you know?
Yeah. I put things that are. I don't play it up. Like one of my photos is kind of a more modelly photo, but I don't really play that up much. I play up more of like the.
Is it the baseball one? I love that one.
Yeah, the baseball one rotates in and out a little bit, and there's some with me like smoking and stuff. That I feature sometimes. But I really played up more in the description. The photos, most of them, are pretty much me, a boat in Wisconsin. But so that's my answer. Is I maybe a little bit, but nothing like overly so. Like I also haven't like I look the same way as I've looked the same way for a long time. Like there's nothing to really.
You haven't
like,
aged.
Well, I mean, but like there's just not like a big change. Like some people, their look changes a lot, dramatically so, and so they've actually had photos up there from 5 or 10 years ago.
That's ridiculous. You know? How anyone thinks that that's going to, you're going to get called out on it.
Yeah.
Like what the hell?
You
know.
Well, and you're gonna
meet someone. The person's gonna be like, okay, that didn't look anything remotely.
100%. And people realize that, and people, but I think a lot of people are so they're almost in denial as to what their photos actually are up there, that they don't realize the dramatic effect it has when they then go and meet somebody for a date. You know,
they that blind, you think, to their own physicality that you're like, hey, you gained 40 pounds since your last photo. Like, sorry, but you're a little different. Not that there's anything wrong with gaining weight, however, but if you're gonna put a photo of you as a, bodybuilder and now you're like eating McDonald's every day, there's gonna be maybe some people who are like, who is this guy? You know?
Yeah.
Or woman.
I think there's a denial element to that where they don't actually mess with it very much and they let like time go by.
Oh, I see.
Where it just like sits on their profile for a long time because they haven't changed it.
I remember going on a friend, I was like looking at it and I don't understand the swipe right, swipe left thing because I don't do
dating apps.
I don't do dating apps, so I don't understand it. So I'm like looking
at
up
how it works. Yeah.
So I just keep swiping. She's like, "Kira, you're swiping it to the right. That means I like them." I'm like, "Oh."
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden she started getting a flood of like, it was like bump, or I don't know whatever one you swipe, right or left. Mm-hmm. And I swiping the wrong way. So then she was getting a flood of guys who were like, I was like, oh shit, I'm sorry, I didn't know.
Oh, so, because you were swiping the wrong way? That's funny.
I think left is decline. And then I was like, because I was swiping like you swipe on a moron. Obviously.
Well, no, and she's still learning to swipe left and right. So left is no, and right is yes when people are on dating apps.
So what do you think the future is then when it comes to dating apps? What's the next gen?
Well, I think a lot of things. I think for one, they're trying different things with dating apps. People are coming up with ideas, and there's certain pitches that people give to companies to try to sell it to them, and they use stuff like exclusivity, like we're exclusive dating app, like we don't let
exclusive of what?
Anyone in. We only let cool people in. Like there's dating apps where not everybody gets on.
Oh, I have heard of these where it's like a VIP. Yeah. I think there's one called where it's like it's all the people that went to Ivy Leagues.
Yeah.
You know, and no one beneath that.
Correct. There's one called
It's super snobby, by the way.
there's different variations. There's one called, there was like one that only like celebrities were on. It started with an R. I forget what it was a while back, but that one was really exclusive. A friend of mine actually started an app called The League, which
I've heard of The League.
which yes is quite exclusive, but she's awesome, and that one, you know, is very exclusive. But more and more people are getting into it all the time. I mean, I was on The League for a very long time.
I don't really consider The League a dating app, though.
Yeah, you know, a lot of them too. What'll happen is you'll be on one and it'll just kind of sit in your phone for a while, and you won't, and then you'll get back on it, and then you kind of go in and out of these. But I think exclusivity in that regard is one thing people use to try to be like, hey, we're a cooler dating app.
So,
you know?
I mean, is that what's the next virtual reality?
Well, you know,
won't
now
even
they're
have to
doing.
meet the person, you
I
know?
mean, where you're like literally just
You literally
living
just
room
live in a VR dating world.
I mean, we're getting closer and closer with FaceTime all the time as far as
Yeah.
being able to do that now.
Yeah.
And there's actually an app, you know, there's a new app called The Cove, which somebody wanted me to sample that a few months ago.
Is there a movie about killing dolphins? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Huh.
What a great name.
Great name.
Well done.
Well,
We're not getting sponsored by them, clearly.
no, we're not.
I just threw them under the bus. Another drink, please.
And some sushi.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Cove is, how the Cove works is, so I was checking it out. So what you do is people get on it, and you get like 3 texts or 4 texts each, and then if you both sides exchange that, you get promoted to doing a voice back and forth. So each person then gets 2 voice messages.
That's so great.
And then if you both respond on the voice messages, you each get to do a video for the other person.
Can I ask a really lame question? I
Yes.
don't have any problem with online dating. I think each to their own. Who am I to judge? Is there a reason why we can't just meet people like they used to in just normal everyday world? Why do we have to have dating apps? Why is that even like something that's like a necessary thing? I never understood that part.
Well, I mean, that brings into the question of I mean, that's kind of a bigger philosophical question, and why is this isn't just dating apps, this is the world and social media, and everybody is communicating through the internet and through this web of, you know, this goes back to our conversation last week, which is, you know, we're all part of these interconnected cyber systems, and dating is just like one branch of that.
Well, and I get it in an LA perspective. Like in Los Angeles, it's super hard to meet anyone, you know, because everyone's so siloed and they cut themselves off from everyone else, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why you wouldn't just meet people like, how did your parents meet? How did mine meet?
My parents met on a road trip to Florida. Yeah, but that's a good way to meet.
Or, I don't know. I've always met my exes or, you know, or current boyfriend, like, in regular real life, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, and I feel like that's still happening too, but I agree that, like, why do we need... People aren't going out, they aren't...
maybe that's it.
They aren't going out as much anymore. They're meeting people they're at home on their computers or on their apps, just swiping left and right. It's such a triggering thing in the brain to just be able to, like, swipe through, like,
Yeah.
I like him or her, I don't like him. Yeah, because they're like, I don't know, like, instead of going out to a bar and having to, like, be like, I gotta
the
talk to
energy
that guy,
that I have to,
or like, it allows for a pathway to communicate through text, which is an easy way out.
Do you find it to be the lazy way out instead of actually interacting with a human being in a face-to-face and getting... To me, I need the nonverbal cues in order to do anything. Like, I can't do just... Texting's really... I text a lot and whatever, but at the same time, if I'm meeting someone new, I have to do the nonverbal. I need that, you know?
I think it's 100% the lazy way
okay.
out.
Have you been on... Is Tinder is it true that Tinder's like the one where it's like just the hookup app where?
I haven't been on Tinder in a long time. I mean, I'm probably still on it somewhere, but like I haven't actually logged onto it in a long time. But
like when you used it, did you use it just to hook up, or was it like?
You know, when I was on it, which was towards the beginning of it, it wasn't. It was because it was a novelty, so people were still figuring out what it was all about. So it was more of a novelty, and people weren't using it to hook up. But it kind of went downhill and became more of a hookup app, which I think it is now. And there's also Grindr.
Grindr was one of the originals, I think, of like a. I think it's the only one for. No, I shouldn't say that. It's probably not the only one for.
It's one of the main ones for LGBT.
Gay, yeah, yeah.
Like it's It's I think one of the main ones for the lesbian gay community. But I think that I think it was around when Tinder started. Was it one of the first ones?
I think Tinder got its name from.
Did it? So
I mean,
it was just before Tinder. I think you're right. And then Bumble came along, and then Bumble was like the whole female initiated app.
Which is like revolutionary.
Which is...
I mean, if you think about it, because... you know, and today, it's actually interesting. I have a YouTube video that I just did the other day that will be posted soon. Where, historically speaking, men have... There's been the expectation that men always have to make the first move in everything. Asking the woman out, talking to going up to the woman, sex, all of that stuff. Bumble is when it shifted. I almost feel like where it's like, hey, women, you're kind of now you get to be the first one that makes the contact, and I actually like that in the sense that women, including myself. Take a back seat sometimes. We just we wait.
Yeah.
Like you make the move, and that's such an unfair type of thing where it's like, hey, women maybe, and including myself, where step up to the game and like be vulnerable, just like men have to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And take that first step like men always have to. Like, why do they always have to be the one who's like, okay, you have to be the one that asks the chick out and ask for a drink? And
so it was a big thing when that happened, and I think wasn't she the founder of it dated the founder of Tinder or something, or they were together,
right?
I think.
Yeah, and then there was a sexual harassment with her, and she was like, F this shit, and then was like, I'm creating Bumble, and she's now like quadrillionaire.
Yeah,
and good for her, man. That's amazing.
And so aside from that, they now have, in addition to that, you know, other ways people can portray themselves, which is like Bumble has Bumble BFF, which is like meet friends.
Right, which is really great in LA. And then they have Biz. And
they have Bumble Biz, which is like work, like meet people for like work and jobs, and it's great for like entrepreneurs and stuff like that.
I have a really interesting story about Bumble Biz.
Yeah.
Because you told me about it. It was like, oh. And you were like, oh, I met so-and-so. Kira. You met Kira on Bumble Biz, right?
I met one of our guests.
Yes, on
Kira,
Bumble. Yeah, and I was like, hey, that's cool. I'll go on. And I've never been on Bumble, and you don't have to be on the dating side. You just go into the Bumble Biz side.
Yep.
But I noticed I started getting notifications from Bumble.
Oh.
And I have a boyfriend, so I had to tell him like, hey, if you see notifications on my phone, and it's not for the dating part of Bumble, it's for the biz. It was like,
wow.
It was a conversation because it was like, well, blah. And I totally get it, because I'd be the same way. I'm like, what the hell are you doing on Bumble? Like, you know, but at the same time, it's like, no, it's the biz side.
And I think that it's, you know, given that it's very easy for the two to become conflated, because you've got these two things within the dating app, and it's kind of like they're still figuring that out, because there's just got to be a lot of quirks and problems and people.
I deleted it because I can't.
It's a mess. But I do give props to Bumble and to any apps that at least they're trying other ways to be, you know, innovative and to kind of change the scene. I think it's clever for entrepreneurs in business just to see what other people are doing and to swipe left and right. I think that is a cool, interesting idea. it's very easy for it to become mixed in with dating and get kind of convoluted in that way. But aside from that, so it's interesting where those are going. But I also think all of this just goes back to our main question of today, which is, in society and especially in dating, it's so easy for people to misrepresent themselves in their photos and in kind of what we said at the start of the podcast. And do we, when we meet someone, through the internet, through a dating app, like, are we falling, are we getting into that person because of how they're portrayed online? Or are we spending time with them and getting into that person in person? And I think people on dating apps go through this because, are you attracted to the image of the person that's their online persona, or the actual person? And I think that's actually causing a lot of roadblocks and problems for people, because your online persona, not always but often, can be different than who you are in person.
Correct.
And I think especially in the dating world, you're only seeing the perfect lighting and the best version of the person, and that's why in written blogs, I actually have encouraged people to show on their social media their personal side, show themselves, whatever, washing dishes or falling off the couch, or because people only show the best.
How do you get a picture of you falling off the couch?
Well,
anything
is possible, but I think the point is, show yourself doing very normal stuff, because in my YouTube videos, I have a shoe rack in my video in the background, that my ex actually put together for me, but but I have that there, and it but it strikes people on YouTube, and they always bring it up because it's showing. I actually took it out of the last video, but it's showing a very personal element of myself, and people in their social media don't show their personal side enough.
Right, it's the facade. It's like, here's me at the gym, I have my six-pack, and here's my witty little one-liner, And you're like, well, how do you get to know someone just from, like, looking at that? It's all a physical type of thing where you're like, oh, well, they're physically attractive, so let's start there, I guess,
It is a physical type of thing, and what I would say to people, though, is, like, really, and I guess that's the big lesson of this podcast, too, is really, like, start showing yourself, not just on social media, but also in dating apps, in both. Like, show your personal side, because the stuff that you think is not as good or not as shiny often is what people are attracted to most.
It's the
authenticity. Real side of you.
I think that's the point when it comes to any social media or any dating app, where you have to have the authenticity of who you are. Just whatever that is. Don't be someone else.
Right.
Be you. Whatever that is, you don't have to craft yourself into this beautiful little avatar, just be who you are. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. A lot of people, like, I have friends who were just like, holy God, really, really dedicated to dating apps, where it was like, I need to meet X by X date in order to have X amount of kids, and then plan my life in a nice little perfect bow. And it's like, I wish life worked that way.
You mean they put things in like a certain...
Yeah, like, I need to date this many people a week. It's a numbers game. In order for me to meet X, Y, and Z by this date to get married. I mean, women have a biological clock. You know what I mean? And that's why we're like, okay, like...
It's like, what do you... Right. Do you think that it's good to do that or not?
No, I think it's a disaster.
It's a disaster.
I think you're pushing... I think you're overstepping what the universe is going to provide you. I think you're trying to control things, and you may end up with someone where you're like, I just needed to be in a relationship, and then you're like, oh shit, it's the wrong person, but I don't care. I need to get married, I need to have kids, and blah, blah, blah,
So you can't force that, you know. And
if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. The end. Take a break from it, and then.
And if you're pushing hard on social media, if you're pushing that hard, like it's just, or not just on social media, on any dating apps, you're just going to cause yourself problems, because that's not where it happens. You see so many people. I mean, their dating app profiles or their Instagram profiles, it just look like $1 million, like everything's perfect, and like that's not really how they are. And then they people have trouble in relationships, and it's because they're kind of misrepresenting their own authenticity,
right?
You know. And this doesn't just apply in dating. I think this applies for entrepreneurs. I think this applies
in life,
yeah. and in companies. I mean, if you look at a lot of the leaders, you know, who have big companies and such, we often actually know a lot about their personal side, ironically, and it connects us more to them. I mean, Steve Jobs was so flawed, and everybody knew about, you know, his problems and what he was going through, but because we knew about that, we connected to him even more, and we connected to Apple in a way even more because of that, you know. And so I feel like the leaders who show a flawed side and show their personal side in any way, it applies across all spectrums, from dating to social media and everything. So show who you are is what I would say.
I think that's an amazing point, Geoff. In the sense that when men ask, how do I find true connectivity with other people in the dating world? I think what I would say, and I think, you know, you wrapped it up nicely in a nice little bow, is that you need to find the people that aren't just the beautiful Barbie or the beautiful Ken doll. Find the people that open up and are real, and real human beings with real problems and real emotions and goals, and that's how you connect with people. You don't connect with people by looks alone or their witty charm. You know, you have to be comfortable enough with your own, with who you are, you know, in a sense where it's like, don't create a persona, just be you. You're amazing just the way you are. You know, everyone has insecurities. I have insecurities, you have insecurities.
Just put a photo with your mom on a boat in your dating profile. Like, say that you look like Brad Pitt in the dark. I mean, like say stupid things. Just like be
or don't. If that's not, you don't have to be this witty, charming comedian, because people see right through it.
Be
Humans
whoever you are.
Dumb.
Yeah.
Because I've gone on these things where I'm swiping, I'm like, come on, guy. I mean, that's clearly you're you're trying too hard, and or girl, you know, where it's just like, okay, really, with the bikini picture, obviously you're, you know, can you just take a Renault?
Right. No, a lot of people don't want to. So you got to do that.
So 5 years from now, Geoff, what does dating apps look like?
What do dating apps look like in 5 years? I don't think that they'll have changed a whole lot.
Really?
From where they are now. No, I don't. I think that they'll be pretty similar. I think that we're eventually, I think it's probably 10 years out, where we'll get to a more virtual reality element of it. Because we already have FaceTime. And if you think about it, 50 years ago, it would have frightened people that you would have like a handheld thing where you could like see the person's face and you could talk to them through. People would have been like, "What are you talking about?" Like that wouldn't even make sense in the 1950s.
You could be a unicorn. You could
like,
be
yes,
a bear
in virtual reality. Yes.
On Face, you know what I mean? Where you can do those emoji things.
That's right.
Super fun.
So I think we'll eventually get to a place where people can. I mean, I wonder about this, but can you go on a date with someone and you both are there in a virtual reality setting?
Do you feel that takes away from the actual human nature that we have as a human being? We're social creatures and need to have this. There's an energy between human beings. You and me sitting directly next to each other has a different energy than if we were doing a video chat.
100%.
So do you think virtual reality cannot replace the energy field and the vibrations that human beings have, the connectivity. Right?
It can't replace it.
So
It can't replace it.
I question everything when it comes to dating apps. I feel like, me personally, I have people who have married people they've met on dating apps. I have no problem with it. Me personally, I really the person I'm with currently, my previous exes, I've always met in person, or I just didn't date. Me personally, and there's no, it's not like I'm better than anyone else, but me personally, it's got to be face to face.
I think it has to be face to face. It should be for most people. I think people avoid that, but I think it needs to be face to face, and I think that it goes back to the original thing we said, which was, seeing false personas online of people in dating apps is unhealthy. You go there and it's not the real person, and so it's not who they are, and that's why that goes back to you have to meet people in person. And I don't think that virtual reality will be much. It'll be more than FaceTime, and that you'll feel like you're actually there and kind of in that realm, but you're still not getting the the human connection and energy of being in person and talking to each other. So I don't think that we'll ever be able to replace that, but I do think we will get to virtual reality, and then beyond that, it gets really complicated down there. But I think that virtual reality is next in dating apps, and that's going to happen. That's slowly happening in a lot of realms. From education. You can now go online and take a course, and there's like virtual reality and such. That's in development. Where like you need to take a course, and you can put on a headset, and you can like be there learning online.
Right.
Which I think actually is good in that respect. But it's not good for dating. Virtual reality really works well in some realms, like education, because you get to. It's like you can narrow in on what you're good at, and you can still learn everything, and you could like fast forward through what if a teacher's rambling or something.
Right.
Imagine that.
Yeah. But
like
I don't care about your weekend.
Right.
Get to where I'm learning something.
Yeah, which people already do on YouTube, and I think that in a lot of realms the virtual reality does work, and it actually is good. I do not think it's good in the realm of dating. So.
I have a quick question, and I know we're doing okay on time.
5 more minutes.
Okay.
5-10 more minutes.
The
Whatever.
summary of it basically is to take a picture with your mom on a boat, and then you will get instantly people that want to date you.
Absolutely. That's the way to do it. It's all about your mom, and like mom on a boat photo is like
that's it.
In Wisconsin.
37 minutes later, and that's the summary. Put together.
My mom was like terrified though in the photo. Like she's literally going like.
I can't believe that's the picture you chose. You're gonna show me after this. When I'm shoving sushi into my mouth.
And I'm shoving chicken.
You'll be like, look, Kira.
Yeah.
But I do have a question when it comes to sexual desire and sexual needs. For instance, like the BDSM world. So if you meet someone online, how do you know? I guess you don't, but if you're into that world, or you're a sub, or you're a dom, or a top or bottom, whatever it is, you almost, you can't just come out right and ask them. You know what I mean? You almost have to like go through the whole process of like getting to know each other, and then you have to kind of. Is there a check mark? Is there an app for that particular alternative lifestyle?
Yeah, actually, like there's apps for LGBTQ. I know there's apps actually for like the kink BDSM world
kink,
too.
Yeah.
Where people can actually go in and find people in that community.
Right. FetLife is one of them. But FetLife is not. No offense to FetLife.
FetLife's like a big one.
Yeah, it's a hodgepodge.
It's like a website and stuff, right?
Yeah. It's not really an app. I just wonder if there's like an actual, as that world starts to become a natural, like something that's talked about and okay to talk about,
As people are
yeah,
talking more about it. And
sure,
such.
and feel more accepted of who they are and what they like and do not like, you know? I wonder if the dating apps are going to include that piece of it, because I feel like that is a really key component when trying to find someone. Let's say you really connect with someone, they're an amazing human being, you've gone on dates, blah, 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 and that person's not into...
Well...
Do you know what I mean? I mean,
yeah.
You find that out and you're like, shit, you know? I mean, there should be some kind of... To me, you know, sexuality and sexual desires is a very key component into relationships. And if that connectivity is not there, I mean...
And they should have that. And they don't. Like, the mainstream dating apps don't have that element of it. There's no...
Surprised.
And it's different than... It's a little bit different than the LGBTQ world, I would say, because gay and lesbian, people who are into that, they have apps for that, and it's like guys into guy and girls into girls, so that's different. But for everybody that, you know, has kinks and fetishes and all that, or, you know, 50 Shades of Grey stuff, and I mean, we had Jen on, our friend Jen who got us here. We had her on a few weeks ago. Or it was a couple months ago. We were talking about this, but like, for all those people, which is a very large amount of people that, you know, either suppress it or don't talk about it or whatever, like, there's no... These apps don't even have settings for that. They don't even have... And they should, because that community is not recognized enough.
Right.
As much as they should be done by the mainstream. The LGBTQ community is, but that community is not.
That's interesting.
And dating apps, I think, need to... I think there are apps for that, but there's nothing built into, like, the mainstream ones. Because it's different than LGBTQ. They can't really build that in because it's not like guys... It's different, you know?
I mean, and kink is, like, enormous. I mean, there's
spectrum.
So much... I mean, there's a massive spectrum. It would just be interesting for them to... You know, if you look at eHarmony and Match.com, and they've got, like, the test of all tests where you have to sit there for, like, 2 hours and take a very in-depth test, I don't think in there does it talk about, like, I'm into being a sub, or you know what I mean? And I feel like that's actually a really important and ignored piece of sexuality that needs to be part of the dating world.
It's very ignored. It's very, yeah, for sure.
Let's create it.
I agree with you. Yeah, we should just tell them to create, you know, to open that up.
No, you and I would create the app.
Create an app specializes in that. Yeah. All right, there we go. We're doing it. We're creating an app.
It's called Mom on a Boat.
It's called Mom on a Boat. Oh, yes. The Mom on the Boat. But yes, that does need to happen. And I totally, you know, I agree.
Okay. Well, I'm happy you support my claim. And feel like we got a lot done. I'm super thankful that I'm in a relationship and don't need to explore dating apps because I'm good. You know, I've heard enough stories to last me a lifetime where I'm like, nope, no thank you. Now and then there's amazing stories, so I can't discredit it, but at the same time I'm like, dear God, I don't have the time or the energy or the patience to deal with some of the bullshit. But
you're relieved.
I'm relieved that I am in a very happy, healthy, loving relationship and I don't have to deal with it. So
that's great.
But all the power to you and the Bumble.
Well,
and everyone out there.
Yeah,
I get it. I mean, how else do you meet people nowadays if you don't, you know, going to the bar is super weird and you don't want to go, you know, I mean, I get it. It's a really great way to meet people, and I don't know. I might explore it if I wasn't in a relationship, if I wanted to do it that way, you know. But
I think that I totally agree with you, and I think that it's, you know, it all connects kind of back to just, you know, on these apps, you know, be who you are, be authentic, you know, when you meet people, be honest with them and be, you know, don't try to misrepresent yourself on dating apps, especially on dating apps, on social media too, but especially on dating apps. Like, the best thing you can do is be who you are and you know, be upfront with people, because it's, you know, you're only, I mean, time is limited, so you might as well just, you know, speak from who you are. And don't try to push things, force things, rush things. Just be natural on them, and kind of I think that's how it happened.
I love it. I think it's a really cool topic. We've gotten so many comments, and it's because it's such a great, like, interesting. We all deal with it. We all deal with the dating world and how to communicate with other people now in this, like, digital world, and we're all staring at screens instead of doing this, you know, and like actually being in the presence of another human being, you know. And the dating world is just that much more complicated. So just know that I read all of your messages. Geoff reads all of your messages, and we need to figure out a format how, like, live, so we can, like, be talking and
to them,
reading, like,
right,
their messages.
It would be cool if we had, like, a screen with, like, the messages.
I'll let you buy that.
I'm gonna buy
you can
a
invest
message
in that
screen,
part.
but we're working on.
Actually, that's a good idea,
that.
though. If it would, like, come up, and then we could be like, hey,
yeah,
Jim Bob is like, yeah, Kira.
Right, we would see
yeah,
it.
Geoff, I've got a picture of my mom on a boat, too.
Exactly. And because right now we've got it on her Instagram we've got microphone going, which is for the SoundCloud, and then we've got her Instagram and my Facebook going, but we want to get this, we're working on getting it into one and continuing to communicate with you guys. We want to be able to communicate with you directly some during it. So,
but know that I read all of your messages, and I know, Geoff, you read all of hers. So, or all of yours. So, episode 11, man.
This was episode 11. We wanted to talk about dating apps, falling in love with personas, meeting real people, authenticity of that, the tech world.
Thank you to Jen and Mrs. Fish. This is incredible to be in this space. If you guys haven't been here, check it out. I cannot wait for the sushi that's going to be shoveled into my face in about 5 seconds. So
I'll be eating chicken and such.
Chicken saute for you.
Chicken saute for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, and again, you know, and also what you said at the end of it, which was the importance of them recognizing both LGBTQ and the BDSM kink world within dating apps is very, very important, because both the continuing recognizing of that is very, very important.
I agree.
So we should keep pushing for that for everyone out there. And this was episode 11.
Yes, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll share it after. It'll be on YouTube. It'll be all over the hemisphere. Get your grandma to watch it, all that stuff. So, thank you so much, guys. We will see you soon.
Thank you, Jen Friel, Mrs. Fish. Thanks to the restaurant. And
thank you, Geoff.
Thank you, Kira.
We'll talk to you guys later.
Out.